Good morning, good evening, or wherever the sun may find you. My name is Walt, and this is Coffee and Concepts on Keystroke Medium. If you've been on Keystroke Medium for longer than 30 seconds, you probably recognize my co-host. I'm so excited. Kalene Williams, the fabulous Kalene Williams. How are you today?
I'm awake.
Is this different than normal?
Well, for like being up and face on and non-jammied, yeah.
And non-jammied. So where is the time needles where you are in the world?
It's 5:37 in the morning right now.
Oh, that what bastard made you come up at this early in the morning?
I don't know. It's so early. I had to bring out the big mug.
The big
coffee. And there really is coffee in here, and I'm gonna drink it. And it's delicious, and it can hold a whole pot, so that's my favorite.
Oh my god, Corey Gilliam in the Facebook chat saying "woohoo," maleness. I don't know what that means. Maybe me. I got nothing. And then yeah, I got to tell you though, I have cup envy. That cup is ginormously awesome. Can you tell us the story of how you came into that cup?
So it was my 33rd birthday, actually.
What? There's no way.
Yes. Actually, I'm older than that now. but yeah, it was with some roses that my mom got me, and Willow said, "Mommy needs that cup." And Grams is like, yes, she does. And the first thing I did was brew a pot of coffee and poured the entire thing in, and was like,
yes,
like I had to hold it like full palm like this and like, support it because it's like the whole pot. I'm just like, yes, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. I love this.
Oh, that is fantastic. And I love the fact that when you drink out of the cup of epic awesome, that your entire head disappears.
Yes, it is just that big.
Oh, he switched. Now he's on. Why do you have the guy from Lie to Me in your profile pic? I don't judge. I used to love that show. Guilty pleasure. But yeah, so yeah, I was excited to have you on this morning because apparently I have pulled a disappearing act, and you materialized out of the ether and was like, "Hey, where are you?
Where's Walt's face? I haven't seen for so long, and I missed your face, and now I'm here."
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, that means you need to come on the show," and you were like, "Huh? Say what?"
There's a reason why I always miss your show, because I'm usually still sleeping.
I try not to judge. So what kind of coffee are you drinking this morning out of the epic cup of awesomeness?
Today's just your classic black silk Folgers.
Right on. Right on. Do you like
I drink the last of my writer's block Keystroke Medium coffee, and I need to order some more. So that's why we're doing the black silk.
Writer's block is pretty good. It's pretty good, but I like the one that begins with the D word. So, and I'm a big fan of when you do blurbs on the show. So you have to say the roast of. Go ahead, say
roast of doom.
Yes, the roast of doom. I really like a dark roast, just because I like the less caffeine.
That's why I like the black silk Folgers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't get much darker than that one.
Right. But I like the fact that it has just a little less caffeine, but I like that smoky taste. Because I don't drink alcohol, so the closest I get to whiskey is a dark roast coffee. It's very tragic because I used to love whiskey.
It is delicious.
But yeah, I love a dark roast coffee. Lately, I've been rocking a Costa Rican blend, which is got like little hints of like almost like a floral taste to it, but then it still has that like bite of smoke at the end. It's really, really good. And I don't put it.
You want to experiment with coffee. Every time I hear you talk about coffee, I'm like, I should try other coffee.
You know what's and it's funny too because when people ask about like different kinds of blends and stuff like that, the one I always try and recommend just because it's not super expensive, but at the same time if you're looking for something that will show you exactly what a flavor profile for a coffee does, I always recommend an Ethiopian roast, right? Because it is so far away from like normal coffee. Most coffee is that you get in the United States is done from like South America. So, and the thing about the South American flavor profiles is a lot of them are acidic, right? So they usually come from like a light or like a semi-light medium roast. So there's more acid in the coffee. But like the Ethiopian blend, when you taste it, it's a dark roast, and they usually dark roast it, and it doesn't have that heavy acidity. But at the same time, because of the soil it's grown in, um, Lauren saying dark roasts have less caffeine. I feel betrayed. It's true. But the great thing about the Ethiopian coffee that I think makes it as like a great entry for people who are just trying to learn about different coffee profiles is the fact that it has a hint of blueberry to it naturally.
Ooh.
So you're not adding anything or whatever. It's kind of like drinking, like if you took your blueberry muffin, shoved it right into your cup and kind of coffee drank it. And
You're kind of speaking my language on that, because like a muffin or something with coffee, it's like you bite the muffin and then you just get a little bit of coffee.
Yep.
Like,
And so yeah, that Ethiopian blend really has that like if you're trying to discover different flavor profiles, that's usually the one I recommend because it's usually the one that's so far away from that like that acidy taste that it gives you that first hint of this is what a flavor profile for something like this should be like. William Tyler Davis saying that is tragic. I love dark roast coffee and stouts porters for that smoky flavor. I assume you were talking about the lack of caffeine. Yeah, because the
everyone
more
seems very upset by that.
the more of the kernel you burn off, the less of the caffeine it contains. So that's how that ends up working. Light roasted coffee usually has the most caffeine. The one that I usually gravitate toward if I'm gonna go for a light roast, I try to go for anything coming out of Hawaii, just because of the fact that that really dense volcanic soil produces almost like a almost like an earthy taste to it with not as much acid as you normally get in a light roast coffee. But at the same time, you get that real hit of caffeine. You're like, yes, I can see my house from here and I'm 47 miles away.
Threaded sewing machine running.
Oh, William Tyler Davis is saying, I was talking about the no alcohol. Yeah, I just, back in the day when I was very young, I had your share and your share and your share, but not your share because you're crazy. So, yeah, so I figured, yeah, I'd switch. Coffee's fine. But speaking of what is fine, I wanted to talk about Kalene's story time. I love that show. And one of the things I love about your show is my wife's singing in the other room, Kalene's story time. She's like, but one of the things I really love about the show is the fact that you have to go through so much, like you have to go through so much in order to get out a proper read. So,
Yeah.
like, sometimes you're really challenged in some of these shows because you can tell that while the writing is succinct, that it's on point, and that the grammar is done well, and the spelling has been checked, and and all those boxes are ticked. At the same time, you can also tell that this reader did not read this thing aloud.
Sometimes, yeah.
Can you talk about how you select something for Kalene's Storytime? So
at the moment, I'm not very picky, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm probably not going to read anything in certain romance genres just because family show. But for the most part, I get a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, which is right up my alley as far as what I write, a lot of what I read. So I kind of already have like the pacings, the tones that are common in those in my head. So it's easier for me to kind of just like sit in it, if that makes sense.
Right on. Right on. And what do you prefer? Do you like the science fiction over the fantasy, or the fantasy over the science fiction?
I don't have a favorite.
Oh, right on.
I love fantasy for its, sometimes it's just this very fluid and immersive thing. Like you can just spend some time sitting in a place. I love the science fiction.
Oh no.
I love the science fictions. A lot of times for that quick pace. Like if you just want to just like, let's get it, let's get in there and fight the things and do the stuff. So I love them for different reasons.
Right on. Now, when you get into the story for the first time, and I apologize for the beeping, the damn trash guy is outside. Do you do a read through ahead of time to kind of?
Oh,
like,
heck
see...
yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
So I read the first chapter, and then I go through and I start narrating to myself the first chapter. So, I'll be in here and my mom like poke her head in. She's like, "Are you practicing?" I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "Okay." Because she knows like if I'm sitting here, she's like, "Are you live?" I'm like, "No, I'm just practicing." For one, so that I can, there's different voices. Like sometimes, there's the narrator voice where you're doing the actual read of the words and blah, blah, blah. And then you have some man voice coming in. What am I going to do with that? Do I want him to be Southern? Because I need to figure that out beforehand. Because if I don't, then I'm stuck with Southern.
Now, do you have like a notation sheet next to you so that when you do have Southern voice coming up, you're like, outlaw Josie Wales. Oh crap, he's supposed to be British.
So, well, for if I'm doing like an actual recording where it needs to be polished and not have the, oh, oops, that was supposed to be the female. I did that on one of the recent ones. It went man and it was supposed to be girl. But anyway, then I'll know. But it's, a lot of it is really raw. It's just, I read through it. About 30 minutes before I go live, I do another read of it. And then I'm fresh and I'm in and I get her done.
Right on. And
dirty gritty.
What's the favorite, like, if there's a character archetype that you have to read, what's your favorite character archetype?
I love to read AI voices.
Oh yes.
They are definitely my favorite. And it's so easy. Like I could read an entire book with that because it's so easy on my vocals.
Right. So
yeah,
the next time the networks are looking for a ship voice, they should come to you.
I would love that. That'd be awesome.
Oh my God. Now you're totally throwing me off my game. So
what I do.
What if you had to say that you learned something from reading all of these chapter ones? Is there a lesson that these reading chapter ones in Kalene's story time has taught you?
Pacing. As far as like pacing for the authors, there was one that I read, and I don't think it was because I had done this before last year, but then I had to stop because life. But one that I had read then, the opening just kept going and going. And it was like, oh, here's another opening and another opening. And the whole chapter was like every paragraph was another opening to open the story. And it never went anywhere. And I'm like, I have to read this. And it's not going anywhere. And finally, like the last line, it sort of goes somewhere.
Whoa.
Oh, I vanished. There goes my camera. This is why I need to buy a new camera because mine's dying.
We are going to get on that. You heard her. Facebook fam, get on there. Josh is like, what?
So Family Guy. Yeah.
Excuse me. What if you had to give some advice for somebody writing a chapter one, seeing as you read so many of them, what would you tell them?
Oh, I wish I knew these before I jumped on.
That's part of the fun. That's why I write them down, but I don't hand them out.
Oh, you're so mean. Okay, what
Evil.
kind of advice? Um, okay, honestly, like when you watch a movie, right? And the movie very first begins, um, a lot of times you instantly know, yes, we are sitting with this. I want my popcorn. I need my soda. We're just gonna sink into it. Other times you're just like, eh. And then your friend's like, no, 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 it gets better, it gets better. Why don't you just start at the it got better? So, which can be hard, when you're writing it because they're your words, you love them. But, I don't care about, how many pictures they have on the wall or what the frames are made of. If you want to describe, like, okay, so there's this one short story that I did. And I described the weather. Okay. Now, a lot of times people are just like, no, you don't want to focus on the weather. That's so boring. Except it coincided with his temperament and his mood. And, the icy chill of the wind, that's not really what I said, but like the chill of the wind and the snow in the air was instantly reconnected with his current mood. He commented on it. So I described it in the narrative and he commented on it and it built upon itself. So I turned what could be like a boring thing into a deeper understanding of the character. So
Right on.
my rambling, if any of that made sense.
It does. And speaking of deeper understanding of the characters, you and a partner in crime are working on a new series that should hopefully be coming out soon.
Yes, Marine's Luck and Oorah. I want this to be published so badly. But it's not going to be published until we finish writing it. But it's coming along. It's coming along good. It was it was an original idea, funny, that I had. I think it was J.R. Handley. He had put a post up in the
Oh dear God.
States, and he's like, two mashups of things that you would never think to mash up, and I'm like, My Little Pony and Space Marines. And
That's
for
awesome.
like 2 years he would not stop. He's like, when are you writing this? When are you writing My Little Pony Space Marines? And I'm like I don't know. And so then I kind of fell into knowing Bill, and he needed an editor, so I slid a digital card his way, and so I edited something for him. I don't remember what it was at this point. Anyway, so then I pitched him the idea, and he's like, "Well, that sounds fun."
Hell yeah!
So, but it's come a long way from My Little Pony Space Marines. You kind of have to search for the ponies, but
they're on the helmets.
Yeah, they're on the helmets. We've taken nuggets of their personalities. So it's in there still, hidden.
Right.
But yeah, no, I love the story. They're fighting AIs and the rising of tyrannical evilness and good stuff. It's good times.
Right on. And like, do you think maybe this year, next year?
I'm hoping this year. I'm hoping
Right
probably closer to maybe summertime or the fall. I'm not
Awesome.
gonna like solidify anything because I did that last year. I'm like, coming out August, and it never came out. So yeah, hopefully this year.
I heard a great quote a couple of years ago. One of my RPG buddies was saying, anytime anybody asks me about a release, I always tell them it's coming coming during the holiday. And I'm like, well, which holiday? And he said, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. I need to start using that. Yeah. So sometime around the holiday.
Right on. But you're not the only person who writes in your family. Your young daughter also is doing some writing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and I wish my camera hadn't died because then I could show you the cover of her first one. So when she was 4 years old, she was so frustrated with my writing because I wasn't
with your writing
with me writing because I was sitting there writing and I wasn't playing as much with her. And she's like, "Mommy, why do you have to write so much?" And I'm like trying to explain to her, I'm like, sweetie, you don't just write the words and then the words are fine. Like you have to, like, I'm like, you have to like discover the character. And I really didn't really like the way this chapter was coming out. So now I'm kind of cut and pasting it and rewriting it. But then it opened up this plot thing. So I have to fix that. And she's looking at me just like, I wish you could see my face right now. But it's just like, seriously, can we just like, okay, this is kind of funny. Play with My Little Ponies, please, because I'm like, Mom, okay, give me half an hour, which is 30 seconds in kid time.
Yes.
So one day driving to dropping her off at daycare, she's like, I have a story. I'm like, sweet, tell it to me. And she's telling me about this story, this ice cream princess and this snow queen, and there's Sugar and Snowbee friends, and this bandit that wants to steal the fairies for their magic, and
dear Lord,
they have to rescue them. And I'm just like, okay, that is pretty succinct. It was honestly the best put together tale she'd ever told me. So I wrote down everything I could remember when I got to work. And then when I picked her up, I was like, that story you were telling me this morning. And she's like, yeah, the princess. And I'm like, yeah, that one. You remembered. Okay, good. We're going places. Even better. I'm like, well, I wrote it down in kind of a format like I do my stories, but I tried to keep it with the way you talk. And I was like, what would you think about going over it with me? And yay, you bought it, yay.
Guy Anthony DeMarco saying she wrote a great book. My granddaughter loved it.
Very good. That warms my heart. And so I'm going through it and reading through it. She's like, no, it would say this. No, they would say that. And so like we're going through an editing process. And she's like, what would be really cool if he had like a fire sword. And I'm like, Willow, the bandit can't have a fire sword and defeat the queen. And she's like, why not? I'm like, because he's the bad guy and they're supposed to be defeating him. It completely goes against your plot. And we only have so many pages with this current format. I kind of jumped ahead of the story. So anyway, I asked her if she wanted to, she could draw out the characters and then I could kind of, streamline them, and then I could make a coloring book adaptation of them, and then she could color them on the computer. She thought that was the coolest thing. So
do we have an actual coloring book of this?
Actually, I that's the fourth one that I kind of want to do with her if she wants to. I'm not going to make her do it. But if you want to, we could do like an activity book. So it will be all 3 books with their characters. Because she's really into science and cooking and all this stuff. And she loves facts. Like the one that blew my mind was she's like, oh yeah, the Tombaugh Regio. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, Pluto, the Tombaugh Regio. I'm like, what are you talking about with Pluto? And she's like, the heart on Pluto. It's the Tombaugh Regio, mama. And this was when she was like 6.
Oh my God.
I'm like, go get my phone right now. I need to look this up. Sure as shit, the Tombaugh fucking Regio is the heart on Pluto. So I'm like, we could do like a facts thing. You have this space one, you have this undersea one, you have this totally random one with the bees and the princess and the queen. I don't know, ice cream and snow magic, I guess. And it's like we could do an activity book where the kids are actually learning stuff and they can actually can color. Oh, but that's the other thing. In each of the actual books, I did do a couple coloring pages, so you can color them in the back of the books. So that's fun.
My wife's going to want them now. She is a big time colorer. And if you want, I can share the Marines Luck and Oorah cover real quick so that people can take a look.
Do you have that?
I have everything.
Yes.
So look at that. Look at those glorious colors. So, and look, you can see the steeds on their helmets. It's fantastic. And
here's the thing though about this cover and their colors. I wanted the rainbow. Okay, they were going to be a rainbow, and Patty, the pink one right there, she was going to discover this and line them up in a rainbow, and she'd be like, "We're the freaking rainbow of death." And Frisbee's like, "No, we can't have that." And I'm like, yes, we totally are. And I totally did, because I have final say. And yes, they are muted rainbow colors because ponies.
So did you get the Rainbow of Death?
I did get, yeah, it's in the book.
Right on.
Yep.
Right on. That is totally something that, either Marines, crazy Marines, or maybe Army guys hopped up on Rip It would say.
Yeah, no, she's Patty is the essence of Pinkie Pie.
Oh my God! Thank God I got nieces.
Yep. So I use her for a lot of the fun stuff that Frisbee tries to scrub out as far as the My Little Pony goes. So
that's fantastic. So if people want to stalk you on the internet and like hire you for voiceovers and to read advertisements like you do on the regular show, where can they find you?
Well, so with that, I do have an author page, Kalene Williams, and I do have an editing page, K Williams. You can also email me at nosafewordsllc.com. But I will say, I do have a personal Facebook, but it's like, I don't accept a lot of friend requests because that's like my friends and family section. So like even if you have 30, 40 people in common with me, I don't know your name. I've never seen your face. So
you're probably not getting in.
Probably not. And I will message people. I'm like, do you know who this is? They're like, no, I just accepted them because they're an author and they have friends in common with me. I'm like, okay, cool. They will stay in limbo then.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you can find me. And I'm also in Keystroke Medium. Come join the Keystroke Medium group and you will find me there because I am always there. And yeah, it's good times.
I just want to say, as a total aside, the looks I get when I step on a jiu-jitsu mat with that No Safe Words LLC t-shirt, priceless. What do you mean no safe words?
Yeah. I love that. Ellen had actually made us masks for the show that got canceled last year. And so I gave one to my daughter and she wore it to school one day. She just has like no safe words around her mouth. And I thought that was hilarious because she is a chatterbox and she will just go on and on all day long.
And she has a way with the birds, that daughter of yours.
Oh my goodness, these dang birds. She walks around with the conure on like she has trained him to just like be attached to her shirt, like her hip area. And she just walks around like he's a freaking, belt, like just a belt accessory on her. And she's just, getting in the fridge and doing her thing and she's cleaning up things. And I just hear this, him squawking and stuff. I'm like, where's your bird? She's like, oh, he's right here. And I'm like, what the? The sad thing is, though, is then Sapphire, the giant pterodactyl, who I'm now convinced is a flying monkey, tries to do the same thing, except she's quite bigger. So her hanging off doesn't work very well.
Gotcha.
And so it's fun. It's a good time.
That one's a macaw?
A macaw, a blue and gold macaw.
Right on. And she was molting, or is it a she?
Well, we don't know. We're trying to decide if we want to get her sex tested. They take out a blood feather and then they send that in, and then because otherwise you put them through some kind of surgery, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Or you need the egg that they were born in, and we could have had that because my uncle actually hatched them. So we've had her since she was like 4 months old. So, but he didn't think to keep the eggs, so we don't know.
Gotcha. Now, it looked like she had been molting a little bit when you guys got her. How's she doing now?
She's getting in a lot of new butt feathers, a lot of new wing feathers, which I am so happy about because we took her to the vet. When was this? like when she was, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 months old. And I wanted to get her wings clipped so she wasn't flying, because she was flying and destroying all of Grams's plants.
No.
It was bad. And instead of clipping the flight wings, like, in that nice, just like even stroke across so they don't get any lift whatsoever, he took a freaking chunk out of the center of her wing. Like if you just took a box and like a cookie cutter box and went clunk out of the center of her, it looks like so much crap. And then she still flew, and we took in the little one as well to get his wings clips, and that's what he did to him too. So we're like, yay, we don't have to worry about, going outside really super fast so the birds don't fly out the door.
Right.
And what does the bird do? Fly out the door. And we thought he was gone forever. My daughter was in tears. I never went back to that man. I'm just like, dude. So they're finally starting to fall out. I was telling Willow, I'm like, so these are kind of like her baby teeth, except they're her baby feathers, because these were her first feathers ever. And then Willow's eyes lit up and she's like, oh, it's just like me.
It's amazing the magic that a child can see, and just like even the simplest things. It's just fantastic, which is why it's so amazing that she wrote 3 books. That's awesome.
Yeah, her first one was nice and simple, and then the second one, she wanted these mermaids, and then I'm like 80% done. She's like, I want a third mermaid because I need to have, I don't know, like a dolphin or something in there too. And I'm like, Willow, I have to illustrate all of these, and they're mermaids, and I didn't think mermaids would be that hard, and they are. And all this seaweed and everything, and this volcano with this dang spider that you got going on. Oh yeah, there's this whole thing.
Dear Lord.
And she's like, but this, that, and the other thing, and then this is how we change it, and then this is what we'd do. And I'm just like, oh God, fine. I'm like, but no more changes or additions. And then the third one's about a space pirate that steals the Nova Dragon eggs.
Yes.
And Cindy and Spiky, the Nova Dragon protectors, need to go rescue them. Space is so much harder than mermaids. The only thing I'm so happy of is that I had a friend of mine was very nice to paint me a like really hugely long space scene, so that I could chop that up and use it as like the backgrounds.
Gotcha.
But this thing is 79 pages long.
Holy wow.
I thought I would never. Yeah, it's a lot of kids' book. Yeah, I thought I would never get done.
I got
Space
2 words that will make your life a lot easier. Stock art.
Yeah, but these. So every character and every design is based off of something my daughter has drawn.
Gotcha.
And then I've taken it and put it into like, because when she was first drawing people, it was like a round head, right? With like the hair that sticks. And then these like triangular type bodies with stick arms, like little stick people. So
Those
that's
are my favorite.
So that's what I based it off of, was that type of art. And so that's what each one, progressed to. So, they're all like these really plump stick figure type people. But like, yeah, so there's like this dark spirit of space. He went through a couple renditions, because the first one I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's too much. And no. But yeah. So each one gets drawn by her, and then I take it through and I actually go through like a storyboard thing.
Oh, right on.
To get all of the most of the pages drawn out, and then those get Xeroxed in or scanned in, scanned in, and then I redo them in Illustrator so that she can go through and just click, color, and yeah. So it's a whole production.
Guy Anthony DeMarco saying, I'll have to get that for my granddaughter. She likes pirates and vampires.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the next, if she wants to do another one, would be like about zombies and ghosts or something. And I'm like, no, I can't do another one. Make it do an actual transitional book. Let's do that. Let's do that instead.
Right on. Well, speaking of transitions, I'm going to transition into our outro, which means that I'm going to talk about Keystroke Medium Live, which is Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern, where Josh, Scott, and Chuck, it took copious amounts of practice to say those three names in order. I don't know why, but it hurt my soul that I kept screwing it up. They do roundtable discussions and have interviews, which if you saw the show yesterday, they were talking to the senior editor at Bain Books and about certain goings on and craziness that is abounding all over the place. But that was a great interview. Did you get to see that?
I did. Yeah. No, they're very succinct. Really tried to get to the heart of the matter, and it's a tough subject. There's a lot going on. So I thought
Papa Chuck just like knowledge bomb.
He was all for it, man.
Damn.
He was in there.
We have Coffee and Concepts, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Poor Kalene. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I mean, honestly, I was awake at 3. That's the thing, is like I'm always awake, like at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll message Ellen and Lauren and be like, I should be sleeping right now. What are you guys doing?
Why are they up so early?
Well, they're in the East too. So I mean,
right on.
And Ellen doesn't sleep. She takes like 40 winks and is just like good to go.
Just like the Energizer battery.
She is.
Speaking of Energizer battery, normally on Fridays we have the Writer's Journey with somebody. Hold on, I'll get this. Where you and Lauren dissect a wide array of topics, from all the things from the just starting author to the accomplished author to the well-informed reader. You guys have such a great show, good chemistry, just fantastic. You got to get on and check these guys out because it's just magic fuel. It's just awesome. Josh got you doing long form interviews on YouTube. Those are normally 2 to 4 hours where they really dive deep into a subject. But yeah, those are a lot of fun. And if you just keep your YouTube running, you just be inundated with great information. James S. Aaron now doing marathon author on our YouTube channel. And speaking of which, make sure you mash that button, click the bell, paint your name all over Keystroke Medium on YouTube. Keep us in the subscription box, because the more you guys subscribe, the more great content we can bring you. Like great creators like Kalene Williams, when we continue to broadcast all of the reading, writing, and everything in between. Don't forget to order Keystroke Medium coffee right here on Keystroke Medium. Right.
Or doom.